If you're a self-described creative lazy person, I want to share with you my personal 8 rules that I live by to help me accomplish more while working less. And this is coming from a self-described hardest working lazy person you've ever met. So let's get right into it with number 1, take the smallest viable action. When you're looking at some big gargantuan task, it seems overwhelming and you're going to be stuck in paralysis by analysis, right? You're going to be thinking like, oh, I don't know what all the variables are. It's such a big risk. And again, what if this doesn't work out? What if I do this and fail? What you want to do is you take a big goal or something that you need to do and just chunk it down to the smallest viable action. There's an excellent article, I think it was in Men's Fitness or something like that, where they were interviewing Terry Crews. And it was very surprising to me that in the article he said, I hate to work out. I don't know what's up with the people who love to work out. And that's shocking to me because he's very fit. You think this guy must love working out. He goes, here's the thing. I just trick myself. In the morning when I get up, I put on my clothes, like my exercise clothes, and then I go and have breakfast. And I'm standing around there like, I'm kind of silly in my workout clothes. I've had my breakfast. What should I do? So he goes, I'm going to go to the gym. So he drives himself to the gym. And he sits in a parking lot. He's like, oh, I'm here at the gym. What should I do? It's kind of weird. I'm already here. I'll go inside and I'll just work out for 5 minutes. Let's just do arms or something like that. And then he goes inside and he starts to work out his arms. And he's like, well, I'm here. I'm kind of sweaty, but why don't I do my tries or my something else? So just work on more. Then one thing leads to another. He's worked out for an hour and a half and he gets back in his car. He's like, okay, I did something good today. So that's a good story for all of us because I personally do not like to exercise. I don't want to send out invoices. I don't want to build proposals or bids. And I just think to myself, what is the very first most innocent thing I can do? And if you can just do that, like showing up is 90% of the battle, as they say. So just figure out ways to trick yourself to showing up. The second thing you want to do is to attach something that you really want, like a reward, to the painful thing that you don't really want to do. Because if it's all work and no play, it's a pretty dull life that we live. Let's just say throughout the week, you're so disciplined with your diet. You're counting your macros. You're just eating really well. You're putting in that gym time. And then you've been so good the entire week, but you just feel like, God, is this all my life was meant to be? Just to do the hard work and never to enjoy anything. So that's where you can say to yourself, you know what? I want to get a double scoop of ice cream and it's okay because I've done the really hard work and I get to have this little reward. So as Tuesday comes on, it's feeling like a drag. You're like, I'm almost there. And Wednesday and Thursday, I'm almost there. And then when you get that reward, you're rewiring your brain to say, when I do this, I get to have that. Just do the hard work first, and then don't forget to reward yourself because it can't just be about all work and pain. I find that when I'm not in the rhythm of working, it's very hard to get that motor started. Like if you're on vacation, you come back after 3 weeks, work feels like such a drag. So here's what I do. And you all know this. I love to do social media. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm everywhere in the comments. And I realize, oh my God, half my day is gone. So here's what I do. I make a deal with myself. The bargain is do 90 minutes of focused work, a work sprint. And then after the 90 minutes, give yourself 10 minutes to check the socials. So now when I'm working, I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting so much done. I feel really good about myself. And in about 15 minutes, I'm going to be able to jump on social. This is the really cool thing that happens here. I enjoy the hard work more. And get this, when I'm on that 10-minute break doing my socials, I enjoy that even more because I'm like, this is great. And I know I'm not going to go down that slippery slope where 3 hours disappear. I do for 10 minutes. The reward is here. I'm ready for the next 90 minutes. I can do this. And when I've done this, I can work all day long. Number 3 is probably the very best tip I can give you, which is to learn how to hire others. So if you're a talented creative person and you don't want to work that much, you have to trade something for the work that you're going to do. You're going to trade your time for money. So if you have more money than time, what you do is you spend your money and you hire other people. This is a very important thing in terms of maintaining your spiritual and creative energy, mental health, and to be able to grow your business at the same time. So this one has multiple positive ramifications if you're able to execute this well. So make a list of the things that you're doing and then prioritize only the things that you have to do and no one else can do. The rest, what you do is you hire and you delegate other people to do it. So perhaps you're sitting there thinking, but no one else can do this better than I could. And the way I usually answer this question or this objection is, so you're telling me in your town, you're the very best that can do this thing that you're trying to hold on to? No. So it's usually a lie that we tell ourselves. First of all, you've not met everybody in your town. You've not even tried in terms of putting out a job posting. You didn't go to a job fair. You're not teaching at a school when you can scout new talent. You're just telling yourself, I'm the very best at this because you're reluctant to hire people. But if you're lazy, and this is the critical part where this is actually a good thing, you don't want to do all the work. I often describe myself as the hardest working lazy person I know because I don't want to do all the work myself. I enjoy collaborating with other people who are highly specialized in what they do. I'm a pretty good animator. I'm not the best, not even close. I'm a pretty good illustrator, not even close to being the best. So when I get to work with the best illustrators, animator, designer, typographer, I'm having a great time because they inspire me and they allow the work to be better than what I could have done by myself. Number 4 is to automate. And I'm not talking about using AI workflows or anything. When you're doing something over and over again, that's an opportunity for you to figure out a way that's more efficient to do this. And you can use a number of different tools or processes in which it allows you to do this thing much quicker. You can create scripts for yourself. I don't know, this is an old school tip, but like say you're in Photoshop and you're doing actions over and over again. Well, if you created a pre-recorded action and you hit a button and it did all those things for you, that's old school, man. You could do that. Let's just say you're typing in a bunch of different things and you find that you're typing in the same responses to clients. Well, you know what? Create a keyboard text replacement for that. So when you type in a couple letters, it types it in for you. Let's just say you're a designer and you do a lot of mock-ups and things like that in Adobe Illustrator. Well, what will take you a lot of time to do once will be easy every single time if you import and allocate a library of reusable assets that you can use over and over again. And here's one more example. Texture maps, right? Like we use textures to make things look grungy or like wood or stone. Organize your texture files, clean them up, get them ready to use. You can even create tiled patterns out of it. So now every single time when you need a stone texture, wood texture, or something that's got a little grit to it, it's available for you. So this is one of those ones where it takes a little bit of time and energy up front, but it pays dividends every single time you use it. This is also why I spend an inordinate amount of time cutting out objects. So every time I need a telephone, that telephone is ready to go. This is how I'm able to design keynotes in a day or a few hours, where it will take people weeks to do. This leads us to number 5, systematize and productize. What I'm talking about here is this. What we want to do is try to remove as many variables from our creative process as possible. So if you're an identity designer, there's a very specific process that you go through. So the first thing I would do is I would make a recipe. What is your creative recipe? What are the steps 1 through 9 that you always have to do to be able to get this thing right? For example, you might talk to the client and determine the brand voice and tone. So now we got that part. Number 2, you might do a mood board and research and pull in reference images. And you would go down this whole list and figure out what your exact creative recipe is. Once you have that documented, I would share this with people. You know, the most famous graphic designer, Paula Scher, says that when she onboards new clients, she sits them down, she gives them a book of beautiful logos and says to them, here are 3 stickies, put it next to 3 logos you really like. They can spend 5 minutes or they can spend 3 hours. It doesn't matter. They mark them. Why does she do this? Because she knows from them picking out 3 things, she gets insight into their preferences, their taste, and how far she can push them and where they want to go. So she's not wasting a lot of time exploring logos that she loves, but that they would hate. So if you can systematize and productize your work process, you're going to make this a lot easier. You're going to work a lot less. Let's say you're sitting here and you're listening, Chris, I'm making this all too formulaic, too cookie cutter. I'm not an automaton. I'm a real life creative human being, and I don't want to work hard. I'm like, okay, we'll talk about that later. Okay. So you're probably not saying that, but here's the thing. Have you seen this movie? It's the world's best sushi chef, and it's called Jiro Dreams of Sushi. And it's a beautiful documentary about this man in Japan who goes through a very rigorous approach to preparing sushi exactly the same way. This sounds like an insane amount of work, but what he said, it was for him, the highest art form was to be able to do something at a very high consistent level for as long as humanly possible. So his son who works for him, who is an acclaimed chef himself, is just like massaging octopus for like 6 hours, and his dad touches it, needs more time. My first reaction might be like yours, like this would be so dull and so dreadful for me to do the same thing over and over again. But the reward of doing something over and over again is you get really good at doing something. And then you can train people to help you, and you get the acclaim that comes with it. You become the world's fill in the blank. This is how you go from a designer to the designer. Instead of a web developer to the web developer. You've done it so well, so often, for so long, and maintain a very high level of consistency that people recognize you for this. Number 6, hire a coach, get a mentor. Here's the deal. Most people don't want to do something because they worry about what they have to prepare. The classic example, again, let's go back to the trainer, right? Why do people hire trainers? It's expensive to hire a trainer, but the reason why is you just want to switch your brain off. You don't want to know what you have to eat, what are we on leg day or arm day? You want to make sure you're doing the right amount of reps, the right form, in the right sequence, so you get the most out of what you're doing. So again, what we have to do is trade money for time. We could bumble around the gym, not get results, or we can pay someone who's been there, who's got the results for other people, to have us be put through their program. I can't tell you how much of a difference it made in my life when I hired my first business coach. I worked with him for 13 years. He changed everything about how I think about business, how I do sales, and I have grown exponentially because he's able to help me. Here's the caveat to this. Save your money if your intention is to hire someone and then not do what they tell you to do, or to question everything they tell you to do. This is a waste of money. So now not only are you working harder, but you're wasting money to boot. So you've accomplished nothing. Now you're just dumb and busy. So if you want to be smart and lazy, hire someone, trust them, do what they tell you to do. Number 7 is perhaps the hardest one to get your head wrapped around, which is to be a franchisee. McDonald's has created a beautiful system. They know how to make the burgers, the fries, the menu, the Happy Meals. You don't want to invent a new McDonald's, so what you do is you become a franchisee of McDonald's. You pay them a certain amount of money. You're able to use their branding, their research. They send you all the components that you need, and you're able to make money this way. So you can do the labor part of it and not have to invent a system. So people within the coaching space don't want to develop their own sales or marketing program. What they do is they find one that they love, that they benefited from, and they become a franchisee. They license the system, the name, the procedures, all the stuff we talked about from steps 1 through 6, and it's done for you. So you package it up and you put your spin on it, and you go out and you do this. So you're using your money to save yourself the entire process of writing the material, creating a system, to test it, to prototype it, and to fix it, and to be able to make it special. And oftentimes, when you open up a burger stand versus you open up a McDonald's or Burger King or a Shake Shack, you're doing really well because you're leveraging the equity that's built into that, and you're bringing customers to you just because of that name recognition. And so if you're saying to yourself right now, but Chris, I'm trying to build my brand up, build up my own system, my own unique formula, I say, congratulations, friend. This video is not for you. Remember, you're supposed to be lazy. You can't be not lazy and lazy at the same time. So I applaud you for doing that. I'm doing that. I don't want to license someone else's program, but I'm in the grind. I'm working 14, sometimes 16 hours a day. Number 8 is the culmination of 1 through 7, which is to activate Big Mo. I'm not talking about my friend Mo. I'm talking about momentum. You see, what happens is once you start to prime the pump, you get the benefit of the compound effect. When you do something, it feels good, so you do more of that. And all of a sudden you look back and like, wow, I've come so far. Look at the kind of opportunities I have. Look how much slimmer my waistline is looking. Look at, there's some definition in my arms or my pecs. And so you're going to get that momentum going. Momentum loves action. So if you take some action, you start to build momentum, and it becomes much easier. You notice something that if you're sitting there, like to make an old metaphor, is if you sit there and you're trying to pump water out from a well, it's a lot of effort to create enough pressure to drive the water up the pipe, up into the spigot. But once you're there, it's just a very little amount of effort for it to continue to flow out. You get to activate Newton's first law, the law of inertia, which is a body at rest tends to stay at rest, and a body in motion tends to stay at motion unless acted upon by a different force. So right now you're combating your laziness, not doing anything, by taking action. But once you create that action, it starts to move you in the right direction. And if you keep doing that, it becomes easier and easier. It doesn't require as much energy and effort. And if you want to maintain this momentum, you're going to want to watch this video. It's called The 7 Habits of Millionaires That Most People Learn Too Late.